Hey class, Prof JC here, and we have been talking about this idea of mental models, and I want to just do a quick review. So you're thinking, how am I taking an applied, this class, this 1-unit class on applied ethics, and somehow I'm writing about mental models? What does it have to do with it? If you remember, okay, anytime you want to talk about ethics, you've got to include Aristotle into the conversation. That's just how it has to be. Okay, Aristotle's got to be in that conversation. Aristotle would look at ethics and he would talk about it's really the pursuit of happiness, and happiness is never found until at the end of your life. You can look back on your life and say, I lived a good life. And how do we know we lived a good life? Because we made good choices. And so then that leads him to his book where he talks about this idea of how do you make good choices. Okay, that's where the study of ethics comes into. There are a lot of things, and if we were in a class together, we would talk about this, the ethical dilemmas that we face every single day, right? One of the ones I was thinking about earlier is, let's say you're getting ready to walk, let's say you and your partner, spouse, whatever it is, right? Boyfriend, girlfriend, you're getting ready to walk into a movie. And you're coming up to the door, and there's another couple that's coming up to the door as well. And the movie's getting ready to start, you don't want to miss the beginning of it, right? Do you let them in, right? Do you let them go first, or do you wait behind? Because you still have to get the ticket. You might get behind them. The line might be long, right? So let's say the line is long, inside of there. Maybe these people are really slow. So you don't know any of these things. Do you let them go ahead of you or not, right? That's not a legal question. There's no law that tells you what you have to do. That's kind of an ethical dilemma. You want to get in there. You never know. It's almost like sometimes when I'm driving, I'm a little bit of a crazy driver. I like to get where I'm going. I don't have time to sightsee. I'm trying to get to where I'm going. But half of San Diego doesn't agree. And so San Diego, some of you know what I'm talking about, is notorious for people, slow drivers driving in the fast lane. I don't understand this about San Diego. This is Southern California. You would think they would know how to do it better here. We need to learn something from the East Coast. You go to the East Coast, if you're in that left-hand lane, it's because you're driving like a bat out of hell, and you're just like me, and we're all cruising together. Okay. Somehow at the West Coast over here, I don't understand it. And some of you, if you find yours, don't do this. Okay. But anyway, it's not a legal decision. Do I let someone get in front of me? But oftentimes I don't want to, because I don't know if that person now is going to go slow. So an example, I'm heading out to the Mission Valley campus just last week, and I thought I'd be nice. I let this family in front of me, right? We're coming to a place where they're getting ready to merge over, and I could have sped up and got in front. I let them in front of me. And what did they do? The moment traffic starts to slow down a little bit, they're the type who need like 15 car lengths between them and the car in front of them. And so I'm way back here, and all these people start getting in front, and I'm thinking, why in the world did I let these people in front of me? And next time I probably won't make the same decision. That's not a legal decision. That's an ethical decision, right? And how I'll make that decision next time is because I realized last time I did this, I got messed over. And I had to sit back here while this person in front of me that I let in car after car after car after car. So I'm not going to do that again. Okay. These are the small ethical dilemmas in life. Okay. I'm getting way off track here. The point I'm trying to make for this class, what we're talking about is when you're getting ready to make decisions in order to live in a life that is geared towards happiness. So at the end of your life, you'll be able to say, I lived a happy life. It's making good choices. How do we do this? It's through mental models. And it could just be that I'm so passionate about mental models, I'm trying to find an excuse to teach them because I just love mental models. I think it's so important. So this week, what I want to talk just briefly about, okay, I want to look at the science of mental models, but I'm not going to go into I'm not going to show graphs or anything of the brain and how it works, but I just want to give you why this is so important. You've already defined what mental models are. You've already looked up 25 of them, and you've already you've looked at 3 of those and said which 3 are going to be important. As we go forward through the rest of the semester, I'm going to offer you ethical dilemmas, and then I'm going to give you a mental model and say, how does this mental model, how could this help you solve this ethical dilemma? Okay, so that's what we're going to do. But here's the reason why I want you to know why mental models are so important. Because a lot of you have given some great definitions. They're very scientific. You probably found them on ChatGPT. That's okay. I told you you could do that. But I just want to give you in a real life perspective why mental models are so important. And they're important for people. They're important for organizations because organizations are made up of what? People who make decisions. So here's the deal. When you have a decision to make, okay, now maybe I'm not talking about you because you all are genius and you're brilliant, but many people, when they get ready to make a decision, and you can think back of a time in your life when you're getting ready to make a decision, what happens is you have information that's presented to you. Okay, whatever that information is, it could be good news, it could be not so good news, whatever it is, it's information presented to you. What typically happens when information is presented to us, it creates an emotion inside of us, whatever that is. Okay. And then typically what humans do, especially humans that don't understand this, is they make decisions out of that emotion. Okay. So I'm trying to think. Let's go back to being on the road. How do a lot of accidents happen with road rage? So the information presented, right? Someone flips somebody off, someone cuts somebody off quickly, and so that's information. And then what happens with the receiving person? They get offended because maybe they've gotten flipped off before, they've been disrespected before, they've gotten cut off several times in the last few weeks, and this day they finally realize I'm not going to have it. So what do? They speed up, and maybe that causes an accident. Okay. So their mental model, right? Because we all actually have mental models already. It's just it's frameworks that we think through. That person's mental model was, I've been disrespected, and so I'm going to show this person to never disrespect me again. And so what do they end up doing? They cause an accident. And now maybe there's a sense of self-satisfaction. Yes, I just wrecked my car. They wrecked their car. My insurance rates are going to go up. Maybe I'm going to sit in jail for a little bit. Who knows what's going to happen? But you know what? I got my point across, and I told that person, "Don't you ever disrespect me." And you disrespect me, and now you saw what happens when you disrespect me. That's a mental model. That's a way of thinking. Another way of thinking. Let's say that person has a mental model of. I'm just going to make one up here. It's not any of the ones that we're going to talk about, but let's say they have a mental model of empathetic thinking, right? So anytime they get ready to make a decision, they think, what could the other person be going through? You know what? I'll find a better one. Mutual benefit. Okay. So they have a mindset of mutual benefit. That's an actual mental model, a mental model of mutual benefit. That means that whatever I do in life, it's got to be good for you and it's got to be good for me. Okay. Which is also, it's kind of empathetic. Okay. But I think it's better. It's mutual benefit. So then someone cuts you off, right? But you've been trained yourself to think through the mental framework of mutual benefit. So you slow down and you realize, you know what? I don't know what this person is going through, but you know what's good for him and good for me is I just let this person in and they get to where they're going. And I take the hit on this one and I just move my car back, and maybe this person flips me off or whatever. But you know what? They got to get to where they're going. I need to get to where I'm going. So I'm just going to stay right here. That's a mental model, right? That's a mutual benefit. And you can apply that to all kinds of things. You can apply that to the ethical dilemmas that we're going to look at, right? That may not be one that I actually give you, but we're going to look at different, like first principles thinking and systems thinking and long-term thinking, Occam's razor, the Pareto principle, inversion, right? These are all different mental models. And if we've got ways of thinking, what happens is, going back to the point I'm trying to make, the information is there. Okay. It causes an emotion. And again, most people make a decision based on the emotion and the information versus a mental model. What mental models do is they slow us down and help us begin to think from a better perspective. Okay. So, maybe, and in my lifetime, I've struggled, especially when I was in my 20s. I was a big spender, man. As soon as money came in, money left my account faster than it came into my account. I remember back in the army, back in the military, I got a big bonus when I was in South Korea. And it was a big bonus. It was more money than I'd ever seen. And I'll never forget when it dropped into my account. And I didn't have long-term thinking. I had no mental models when I was I guess I'd have been 19, 20. No mental models. No, oh my goodness. And I'll never forget when that money dropped in my account and I looked at my account and I saw all that money. And I swear I lost half of it that night. when I say lost half of it, I mean we went downrange, and if you've ever been in the military, you know what that means. Went downrange, and it was walking into different places, drinks on me, everyone, it was just whatever. And I probably the next day, half of that money was gone. And then probably within just a few more weeks, the other half was gone. It was just unbelievable how fast I'd go through things. Now, older and more mature, right? Long-term thinking. So I'm getting ready to, I see money drop on my account, for whatever reason. Now, long-term thinking tells me, hey, let it sit there, right? Let's move it into another account that's going to, it's for investments or savings or whatever. And let's watch that thing grow, because long-term, I know I've got bigger goals that this thing's going to go for than whatever I'm going to spend it on right now in the immediate, right? So that long-term thinking, that's a mental model that is save me some problems. I'm talking about this too long. I'm just really passionate about this. I think that this will help. Okay. I think it'll help in life when you have a lattice work of mental models. And we'll talk about what that means too, probably in our next podcast. So next week, I'm going to give you a case study or an ethical dilemma, whatever it is. I'm going to give you a mental model, and you're going to have to work that case study through that mental model. That means you're going to have to know what that mental model is, and then how do you use it to solve that? Okay. Again, all of this, so at the end of our lives, you and I can say that we've lived happy lives. Why? Because we've made great decisions. Once you learn how to use this, it's going to help you make ethical decisions better, because again, you're not basing anything off emotions. You're basing it on mental models that will slow your thinking process down and help you think in a much better, slower way. So here's the question for this week. You've already defined mental models, so I'm not going to have you do that. Based on this video and what I've explained, what is the science behind mental models? I didn't give you any scientific PowerPoints or anything like that, but I explained it to you, right? I could do all that if I wanted to, but I want to make it easier. What is the science? Why are mental models so important? That's question number one. And then number two, okay? So number one, what is the science behind mental models based on what I explained in this video? That's number one. And number two, how can mental models help us with ethical decision making? How can mental models help us with ethical decision making? Thank you so much for listening. I'm really excited, and I'm excited about your case study for next week as we dive into it. Most importantly, I'm really excited at the end of this semester, you're going to look back and you'll probably have 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even mental models that you've owned for yourself, and watch and see. And I hope some of you email me in 2 or 3 years and you say, I started using these mental models and it greatly impacted my life and the decisions that I make. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you in the next podcast. Take care.